Well, as you can see, season one is now in the books, as they say. I've got all of the episodes for season one loaded, and you're more than welcome to watch as many or as few as you really want. Now comes the tough part. It's time for me to give you my top five, and I'm also going to give you my bottom five of season one of The Twilight Zone. Now, before I begin, let me say these are my opinions. And I know that there are some episodes that are fan favorites. That's going to be a problem because I have purposely eliminated a couple of the fan favorites because everybody knows them and it's a very popular thing to watch and yeah, the whole bit. So we're going to go with just the ones that I think are the real standouts and the ones that may not get as much attention but are still extremely well made. First off, a couple of factoids. There were 36 episodes in season one. 28 of them were written or co written by Rod Serling. Four of them by Charles Beaumont, three by Richard Matheson, and then there was one other one that they never wrote again for the show, I don't think. But when you consider the time spent that Rod Serling did on 28 of the 36 episodes, and these episodes were coming week by week by week, very little time off. So that's an impressive little fact, I must say. Now, I will now tell you in series order what I think were the top 10 episodes in my mind. Starting off with Walking Distance, then The Lonely, Time Enough at Last, a fan favorite, I know, and When the Sky Was Opened, What You Need, The Last Flight, Mirror Image. I have to add this one in because it is one of the major episodes of all time. The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, Nightmare as a Child, and A World of His Own. Just to be able to take out of the 36 episodes and cut it down to 10 took me a while. I was having a hard time trying to figure out, well, if I take this one, then I've got to eliminate something else. So I just went with my gut and said, these are the ones that I'm going to perform on the show. I'm going to have these episodes in the list. And I'm sorry that some of your favorites may not have made it. Now, in every season, you're going to have some episodes that are not going to be quite up to par. And in some cases, they kind of stink. The bottom five episodes. Number five, The Chaser. This one, and as I said in the video, it might be because of our time frame that we're in today, but it came off to me like a stalker. Every breath you take type thing, where it sounds like, oh, I'm in love with this woman and she doesn't like me, so I'm going to give her a love potion. Yeah, it's kind of like drugging her. It just hit me wrong. It was done fairly nicely, kind of cute, but I still did not particularly care for this one. It was a weak episode in my mind. Number four is The Four of Us Are Dying. I just never could get behind this episode. It didn't interest me at all. Of the changes, I mean, it was an interesting concept of one person being able to take on different looks, but again, it was not really that powerful an episode, not that great an episode in my mind. So I did not particularly care for that one. Number three, Perchance to Dream. This was the episode where the guy goes into the psychiatrist's office afraid to fall asleep because he felt that if he fell asleep, he would die. And again, this was, I think, in my mind, maybe especially for the time period, the 1959 1960 season, a very artsy, craftsy type of episode with strange, weird camera angles. Um, it just didn't quite fit to me. It was okay, but I, again, if it comes on and if I have something else that I want to watch, I'll watch it. As opposed to the top five, which I don't care what else is on, I'm going to watch it. The 16 millimeter shrine is number two. Besides the fact that Ida Lupino did not look right, she didn't look old enough to be having this kind of an issue. It was a cheap ripoff of Sunset Boulevard, I thought. Uh, and if they would have had somebody older, maybe it would have been better. The concept of her falling into the movie at the very end was nice, and that kind of fit the Twilight Zone type of style. But the rest of the movie, or the episode, just didn't quite make it. And finally, at number one, I'm sure you know which one this one is. One of the episodes that gets the lowest rating of any episode of the entire series, The Mighty Casey. Yes, Rod Serling is a big baseball fan. Yes, he loves baseball in all shapes and forms. And yes, he did kind of hint about the Dodgers moving out to Los Angeles. But for the most part, this was a throw together episode in my mind. We need another episode this week. Well, let's do something about, oh, I don't know, I love baseball, so let's do something about baseball and maybe have a robot in it. And then find out that the robot can't be on the team because he's not human. It felt very thrown together. It didn't feel like it was really thought out very well. Uh, it just didn't work at all in any realm. It was just a weak episode to me. So those are my bottom five: The Chaser, The Four of Us Are Dying, Perchance to Dream, 16 Millimeter Shrine, and The Mighty Casey. Of course, that leaves 31 episodes that could fit into the top. Um, yes, I eliminated five of the episodes that I listed before, but here we go. These are what I would consider, in order, the top five episodes from season one of The Twilight Zone. The ranking is tough. I kept moving things around back and forth. I knew a couple of them where they wanted to be, but the others, it was like, eh, is this better than this one? I don't know. But I wanted to get these five in because it makes it tough to justify where these landed, except for a couple of them. Number five, A World of His Own. The Twilight Zone didn't really do well with comedy. They had some problems with doing humorous episodes. This was a funny episode written by Charles Beaumont, and I'm sorry, by Richard Matheson. And this one, if it comes on, I've got to watch it because it's clever. It's yes, there are some mistakes in it, as is with all episodes, but the humor is clever, the concepts are fun, and the payoff at the end of the episode when the wife finds out that she's also a creation, really sold the story on me. And then they threw in one last hook at the very end to find out that Rod Serling was a creation of the guy too. So, and that made the episode even that much more entertaining, uh, especially since it was the first time that Rod Serling appeared on TV. So that one has to be in my top five. It could be anywhere between 2 to 5 on this one. The next one is Walking Distance with Gig Young, where he leaves his car at a repair shop and sees that he's walking distance to his hometown. So he takes off, walks into town, and finds that it's just like it was when he was a young boy. He wanders around, talks to people, and finally realizes that he is with his family. He can be with his family once again, and goes up to his home and finds that he's not really supposed to be there. This one is moving. Um, the little touch at the very end when he tries to talk to himself as a young child is very moving. Where he just tries to say, enjoy your life, enjoy things. The hook with it, having him walking into town, walking around town just fine. And then at the very end, when he's trying to talk to himself as a young child, the young child falls down, hurts his leg, and all of a sudden he hurts his leg is hurt, and it's because of his own fault. The the moment that the father comes to talk to him about, you're not here, you're not supposed to be here. You have your own life, you've lived it, go back. Is a very moving piece of writing too. It's a lovely, lovely story. I really can't say too much about this episode. Number 3, The Lonely. The Lonely is with Jack Warden and Gene Marsh. He's on a deserted asteroid because of a crime he committed. One trip that they make to bring him food and essentials, they also bring a robot that looks exactly like a woman. He rejects it at first, but then after a while, he becomes more comfortable and they become close. And the relationship grows and grows until the very end when they say that he's been given a reprieve and he can come back to Earth, but he can't take the robot with him, the woman. The mo- the moment that happens, and he says, I've got to take her. She's mine. We're in love. You know, it's a warm romantic feeling between the two, and the commander of the ship keeps saying she's a robot. No, and finally destroys the robot in front of him. The the grief, the agony that he shows is just amazing. It's a lovely, wonderful story. Again, I can't say too much about it. It's just so wonderful to watch. The next one, number 2, And When the Sky Was Opened. 3 astronauts return from a space flight, or do they? The concept of them disappearing one by one, I still watch it over and over again just to see how things fit together. Because when Charles Aidman's character disappears first, he's realizing that he's not supposed to be here anymore. And once he disappears, he's gone. There's no record of him. Then as people start as the other two start disappearing, the whole concept is just so amazing to watch, and realizing that there's no hold anymore for them. They've got to go. And the newspaper keeps showing, two people made it back and one person. And then the final outcome is that the room has been the hospital room where Hutton has been stored away for his health is empty, and he's gone. It's such a wild concept that I can't even begin to explain how watching it over and over again still is like watching it for the first time. My number one episode, it's not The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. It's not Time Enough at Last. My number one episode is The Last Flight. I've I've watched this episode numerous times, and I'm always amazed at the quality of the performances and the way things are put together in this episode. It just moves me so much to watch how the, the World War One pilot realizes that he's a coward, and then comes back on it and says, I've got to go back to save my friend because he did so much to help people in World War II and such. And if he's not there, all those people will die. Who knows what will happen? There's a line from an episode of the Twilight, or not the Twilight Zone, but the Outer Limits. It said, move a grain of sand on the beach and you've changed the whole structure of the planet. That's what this is. You take him out of the mix, leave him as a coward, and what could have happened to everybody that was relying on the other person to save them? Would they be saved? What would have happened to the entire world population and the concept of freedom and governments? It's just it's just mind-boggling how this whole story lays itself out. I can't say again enough about this one. This is just such a powerful episode, and the performances are just so wonderful. So that's my number one. Again, the top five: A World of His Own, Walking Distance, The Lonely, and When the Sky Was Opened, and number one, The Last Flight. In the comments, tell me if you agree with me or disagree or whatever. Um, Again, I know that Time Enough at Last and The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street are two of the biggest episodes of this season. But because they are, I purposely left them on the top 10, but took them out of the top five because there are other episodes that are just as amazing to watch that don't get the airplay. It's tough to eliminate episodes like that. Mirror Image is another one that I had a hard time eliminating because the whole concept of who's the real person and who's the doppelganger uh, becomes a very interesting scenario to try to figure out. Uh, Nightmare as a Child, where the psychology of this child who actually is the woman telling the woman what happened and giving her the hints and getting her back to where she was so that she can confront the person that killed people. What You Need, again, that's another good one. But the problem with What You Need that I had was that the bad guy in the episode was just totally evil. There was no redeeming thing about him. So that I still think that's a fantastic episode, but just not quite in my top five. So, like I said, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. I'll bet that you're going to disagree with me on these choices, but check out the episodes. If you haven't, especially if you haven't seen any of the top five in a while, check them out again, because the amazing thing about the Twilight Zone is that, with few exceptions that I can think of, um, the storylines work today. They they still stand up. They don't seem cliched as much as um, other shows would, but the Twilight Zone works well in today's market. So check it out. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you coming up starting next week with season 2.